Hi there, my name is Renee Hobbs, and this is the optional last class for LSC 530, Text and Tools for Media and Youth. I'm here with Stephanie and Jenny, and who knows else who's going to join us tonight, but really just two topics on the agenda. One is we want to do a little reflection, and we want to do a little viewing and discussing and reflecting on the making of the Ignite adventure. And then the second thing that I want to do is talk with you a little bit about Ignite presentations as a pre-writing tool. Because, of course, as you know, your work is not done, right? The big project, the final project, is due a week from today, I guess. And yet, I suspect that that final project is going to be a heck of a lot easier now that you've made your Ignite. And I want to test that theory that maybe making an Ignite is a terrific pre-writing tool. I could be totally wrong. So those are the two topics that are on for tonight. Hi, Ariel.
Hi.
We're so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us tonight. So here's what I thought we would do. Why don't we each talk a little bit about a pitch for our Ignite. You know what a pitch is. It's a persuasive, brief 1-minute kind of description about why we should watch your Ignite presentation. And then we'll divide into two things, and we'll why we should watch your Ignite presentation. Ariel, put your microphone. Ariel, put your microphone. Okay, I think he has muted his microphone. Thank you very much for muting your microphone, because the tape delay is complicated. So what we'll do is I'll ask each of you. Thank you very much for muting your microphone. I'm gonna mute Ariel. Let me see if I can do that. Okay, so there we go. Ariel, I have muted your microphone, and here's the plan for what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to ask each of you to talk for about 1 minute about the key ideas of your Ignite presentation, and then I'll ask each of you to select somebody else's, anybody that might be a student who's online with us live, or maybe it's not. So I'll ask you to watch somebody else's Ignite presentation, and then we'll come back together and have a discussion about your reflection on the other person's Ignite presentation. And then we'll reflect on this question of the Ignite presentation as a pre-writing tool. Okay? Does that sound acceptable? Thumbs up? Yeah, it'll be fun. All right, so Stephanie, I'm going to throw it to you. Give us a pitch on the big ideas at the heart of your Ignite presentation and why you want the whole world to watch this thing, really.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right, my pitch for my Ignite presentation. Well, I think everyone should watch my presentation because it's happening in the real world. And everything we've been discussing this semester with, storytelling and collaborations is all happening in this program that I've been working with. So that's awesome. I think everyone should watch it just for that reason.
Okay. That's, I think a very interesting strategic use of suspense, right? So we don't really know what it's about, but we have a reason why we should watch it. Suspense is a powerful tool. All right, Jenny, you're up. Give us a pitch. Why should we watch your Ignite? What's it about?
Okay. Well, mine's about the commercialization and the consumerism associated with children's literature. And I kind of go through the beginning of the commodification of children's literature, talking about cross-media, transmedia, and how the publishing world has gotten smaller with mega corporations starting to do a lot of publishing. And really, I think it's an interesting subject to see if it's just reading books that kids are doing, and something I didn't quite touch upon, but about stories are our culture, and if it's going to be associated with advertising, some of the implications for that.
Cool. That sounds like something I want to watch for sure. Linda, welcome.
Hi, welcome.
You're here.
I'm on my cell phone because I can't access it through my computer, so I'm here.
It seems to be working just fine. Isn't that amazing? You're doing it through your cell phone. That's so high tech.
I know it.
All right, let me catch you up on what we're doing. We're each making a pitch for our Ignite presentation, and then we're going to go off onto the Twitter sphere or the website and pick one of the LSC 530 Ignite presentations to watch. But talk to us for you have 1 minute. What is your Ignite presentation about, and why should we watch it? Give us a 1 minute persuasive impromptu.
Oh, okay. No pressure. It's multimedia resources and tools. It's a LibGuide for librarians and educators to use as a tool for children and teens. So I incorporated a lot of information from what I learned in class, as well as pulled information from online. I think it's a one-stop shopping kind of curation. So I had fun doing it. It was, to be honest, it was a lot of work, but I had fun creating it, and I learned a lot. So I'm hoping any educator or librarian, even if they learn one thing from it, is what I'll take.
Okay, here we go. So now I guess I'm going to use the screen share to take you to the Twitter, and you're also going your additional window, right? You're also going to Twitter, and you're scrolling through the LSC 530 result, and you're going to pick one Ignite view, and we know they're only 5 minutes long, so I'll give you about 2 minutes to scroll through the list and pick one. Then I'll give you 5 minutes to watch it, and then we'll come together in about 7 minutes or so. We'll come back to the Google Hangout, and we'll do a little discussion. And you'll summarize the stuff that you watched. You'll provide some warm feedback, and you'll provide some cool feedback, and we'll also generate questions that the presentation inspired in you. So that's your viewing assignment, right? Pick one, watch it, be prepared to summarize it, give some warm feedback, give some cool feedback, and then generate some questions. You guys have any questions before we begin?
No.
Okay. Put your microphones off, mute your microphone, and we'll see you in about 7 minutes.
All right.
Thank you for listening and viewing my Ignite presentation for LSC 530.
I'm talking away here, and of course I've got my own sound muted, so I apologize for that. Okay, so we'll go around the room, right? We'll go around to the symbolic space that we're in and talk a little bit about what you watched. Give us a summary, a little warm feedback, a little cool feedback, and some questions that the Ignite presentation raised for you. Who'd like to go first? Okay, Linda, can I hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. I'll go first. So I watched Stephanie Vine's Ignite presentation, and she posed an argument for using entertainment media as a form of education in the classroom. So she discussed, for example, using popular TV episodes as conversation starters for dialogue and critical thinking and classroom democracy, which can in turn develop understanding of social issues, and which in turn can lead to students having more active role in their community and as citizens. And let's see what else. I have a bunch of notes written down right here. So basically just using the entertainment media for a springboard, and they can use that media that they connect to help displace issues that children end up encountering while they're growing up. So family troubles or anything like that, they can relate that to the entertainment media and learn from it through classroom discussion. I liked one example that she used. She mentioned the reality TV show 16 and Pregnant, which I'm pretty sure we can all agree is an absolutely terrible show. But she said that it actually has led to there being reduced teen pregnancies in the United States. So I thought that was really interesting.
Right. Cool. You have some warm feedback and some cool feedback. What did you like about this? Well, you know, one point you just made is that there's some surprises in this Ignite, huh? Things that you didn't think that would be the case, like the story you just told about 16 and Pregnant.
Right.
Any other warm feedback or cool feedback or questions that this piece raised for you?
I don't think I have any direct questions. She was arguing for the use of entertainment media, so I guess it would be interesting to see the counter Ignite presentation arguing against entertainment media for education, so that would be interesting.
Yeah. Actually, it is a fascinating issue, isn't it? Because using entertainment media in the classroom has some kinds of risks, right? Because its popularity and its appeal can create some classroom management challenges, right? In terms of kids actually being so empowered that it can drive an educator crazy. But it certainly is a really interesting topic to connect school connect school to home to life. So that's really cool. All right, thanks so much for sharing that. I can't wait to see Stephanie Vian's Ignite presentation as summarized by Stephanie. Who wants to go next? Okay. Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I saw Sarah Kopka's Ignite presentation on transmedia and transliteracy. I think because I had covered a little bit of it in my paper, and so I was curious to see what she thought about it. And she is proposing that transmedia is important to use in schools, and I found her perspective very interesting, as she's also a middle school librarian. And so she was talking about all the positives of transmedia and how you can have students be really interactive learners, sharing information and doing this through websites and games that have maps and all sorts of things, including the print function, the reading function, but really just using all those different things to talk about the curricular. And then she also talked about some of the negatives as far as cost and access. Certain schools don't have the tools for transmedia, and just the inexperience of teachers. And I think that's a really big thing, because Before this class, I had never heard of transmedia. I had recognized certain books just from my own children. I didn't realize that they were in a category of transmedia, so I think educating people is really important in terms of that. And I thought her Ignite presentation was very professional.
Cool. And when you mean it was very professional, what does that mean to you?
I just thought it was well paced, and it flowed very nicely, and it looked very like an Ignite, the colors. So I thought it was great.
You know, it's interesting because we've talked this semester about the amateur professional spectrum, and of course, I would, in my wildest dreams, not imagine that after only 12 weeks or however long you guys have been in this class, you know, sorry, but I wouldn't be expecting that the work would be professional, right? That would be surprising, right? But you're saying it had some markers of what we think about when we think about whatever professional Ignite presentations are. And isn't that fascinating, right? That this author has used enough of the conventions, right, of the YouTube video for it to feel like that way. Like you said, nicely paced, and in other ways, like really carrying the message really in a strong way. That's fantastic. Did the piece raise any questions for you, or do you have any cool feedback?
No, I think it just brought up, I would like to see, almost like how Stephanie had mentioned for the other Stephanie's presentation, kind of the counter argument for schools not to use transmedia. She kind of touched upon it in her presentation, but it would be interesting to see why schools may choose not to use that in the classroom.
Yeah, indeed. That's so another issue where really having a balanced perspective is useful. Linda, what Ignite presentation did you watch tonight? So unmute your microphone. I'm going to see if I can. I might have. I worry about that. Did I mute you by accident? We were hearing her perfectly well, and now we can't. Arg! Can't hear you now. How do I fix this? I don't know. Let me try this. Okay, try that. Can we hear you now? Oh, man. Oh, man. Did you see her? Yeah, that's great. Oh, heartbreak. I don't know. I feel guilty because I feel like I probably did it, right? I probably accidentally caused some kind of, well. All right, well, while I'm trying to futz around with getting Linda's mic to work, I'll share with you, I watched Lucy Harris's really fascinating, Ignite presentation on weeding an elementary school library. You guys, I really recommend you watch this. This was scary but true. But I have a personal connection to this topic, so the minute I saw weeding, my clicker went right to that. When I was raising my children in Harvard, Massachusetts, they were in the elementary school, but they were going to be going to the middle school and high school. It's all one school, the Bromfield School, sooner or later. And so I found myself walking into the Bromfield School library one day, and the overpowering smell of mold was I had an allergic reaction. And as I walked into that library and through the collection, it was clear that the librarian was hiding out. It was clear that they had neglected this space, and in the 2 or 3 hours that I was hanging out there, there was not a soul in the space. So I went back the next time and I interviewed the librarian. What's going on? Well, turns out, none of the teachers will collaborate with her, and the principal has starved her to death, and she has no resources, and it was really clear that she had kind of given up, right? She had a union job. She was kind of biding her time. And so I was really scared. My kids are going to come to that school, right? And that's unacceptable. That's a terrible library. And the library is supposed to be the center of the school, right? And this thing was like that's the place you could imagine. And so I called up my mom, the school librarian, and said, "Mom, what do I do?" She said, "Well, dear, you need to do an analysis of the collection and see whether it's been weeded. How old are the books?" And she taught me how, over the phone, she coached me how to do it, right? Here's how to do it. Research. You're a researcher. You can do it. So I, in fact, did a really systematic reading. I presented a report to the school committee. I promptly got roped into running for political office, and I got elected to school committee. Oh, my God, on the library platform, right? And indeed, we were able to bring money to fix the library and blah, blah, blah. So all that by means of saying I really loved Lucy's video. And here's what I learned. In this a pseudonym for an elementary library in Rhode Island, 46% of the books are over 20 years old. The most recent reference to Russia is a reference to the Soviet Union. The most recent reference to a British Prime Minister is Maggie Thatcher, right? And she had photographs of the quality of the books in such terrible disrepair as you could not even imagine, right? Just really terrible, terrible disrepair. It's a pretty powerful statement. She also explains how it is that school libraries got defunded in terms of the Elementary and Secondary Reauthorization Act, and how it is that Senator Reid is trying to overcome some of those obstacles. All in all, it was, I think, a very informative presentation on a topic that has a great deal of relevance to the people in Rhode Island. And I thought it had a lot of potential to go viral, except for the fact, here comes the cold feedback, that the sound quality is not good. In fact, you will really have to work hard to listen to the sound quality because the voice is so low, you can barely hear it. So I'm going to ask Lucy if she can re-record it with better voice, because it's such a relevant topic to the families and the parents and the school boards of Rhode Island that I think it could actually go viral and motivate people, because people just may not know that children have these lack of resources, right? Even in middle class communities. So it's it was really powerful. So I invite you to watch it. For me, it raised a lot of questions about whether or how an Ignite presentation could be both informative and persuasive. I wonder your thoughts on that. Your own Ignites, would you describe them as more informative, more persuasive, or a mix of both?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I can.
Yes. Yay! Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. So now, can you tell us the video that you watched, Linda?
Okay. And then I can answer your other question as well. But I did it on Jennifer Gazro, if I'm saying it right, Gazro.
Yeah,
and she did Children in Television. Does television impact language development of children? And she started with a nice quote from Charles Yang, and it's basically language is what we use to tell stories. Let's see, language starts before speaking. She was referencing infants, obviously. How infants respond to body language. And she mentioned that, remember way back when in our class we talked about, oh my gosh, well, skip that, I'll get back to it, that children need interaction with the caregiver or parents. Oh, that was it. And I remember reading many weeks ago about that, how children under the age of 2, they need interaction. So she did a lot of talk on that. She talked about television shows, education shows, how they need to be slow and repetitive. Children tend to learn after 3 or 4 times of this if you keep repeating the same thing. She mentioned language growth is between 1 and 4 years old. And that was about it. The positive, I would say, the warm and fuzzy I got, is she provided a lot of statistics. Really, so I think each slide basically had a statistic of some form. The cool, I would say, is it lacked color. It was just drab. But I thought overall the performance was great. I just would like to have seen 1 or 2 slides with some color. And that was it.
Thank you for that good, warm, and cool feedback. That's a really important part of when we are media makers, we really crave to have both warm and cool feedback. Did it raise any questions for you, Linda, in terms of things that made you wonder about or want to know more about?
No, it basically echoed what we have been learning all along about interaction from caregivers and parents, and how you need to be involved with them, how language occurs at an early age, and you need to encompass that. So you really need to be involved to get them off and running. So no, nothing really, other than the statistical factors, which were page after page. I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting that it sounds to me like that piece, the Jenny Gassero piece, was probably primarily informative.
Yes.
That it might have had some persuasive implications. That is, if you have if you're the parent of a young child, for instance, or if you work with preschoolers in your library, right, it might actually change your behavior.
Yes, that's true.
Persuasion is. Right.
Yep.
So it was informative, but it might have had a persuasive impact.
Yes.
On this issue of about your own presentations, or about the one you watched, informative, persuasive, a mix. What was that? What were these ignites for you? Informative or persuasive or what?
For me, my Ignite was more informative because it provided many tools and resources. Being in a librarian or educational field, maybe most know the resources I provided, and maybe some would not know. But I view it as more educational, more informative than persuasive.
And Stephanie, what about your Ignite? Informative, persuasive, or what?
I would say it's a combination of both, because to describe my Ignite presentation just a little bit better, I have been working at the Vartan Gregorian Elementary School in Providence. They recently started an arts media literacy collaboration program, and I've been going there over the past 6 weeks and recording this program. So my Ignite presentation is a mixture of informing people about the program and about what's going on, but at the same time, almost persuading people as to why the media arts literacy collaboration programs are a good thing to do.
That's actually a really cool way to describe it, because it's true. You got to see kind of up close and personal the nature of this complex collaboration that involved librarians and teachers and people working outside the school, parents, volunteers, and artists. You got to see kind of the opportunity and the challenges of a collaboration that's supporting children's learning. Inevitably, that's going to be informative, but it might also inspire some people to want to try such a creative collaboration for themselves. So I think that's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing your piece. So Jenny, tell us about, is your piece primarily informative, persuasive, or what?
I think I started it off as being an informative piece, and I think because for me, I always knew there was some sort of commercialism within children's literature, but I was really surprised by how much, and I think I wanted to then persuade everyone to also realize that this is going on, and as much as there are some really good stories, they're kind of hard to find in between everything else that's getting kind of commercialized. And so I would say it's informative, but definitely a persuasive element of trying to get people on board to recognize that.
I am really glad that you tackled this issue. You can see from the learning outcomes that are listed on our syllabus that understanding the economics of the children's publishing industry, the children's media industry, are part of what we were aiming for this semester, because messages circulate in an economic context. And sometimes those economic factors are not so visible to us. But they are absolutely huge in shaping what comes to market, what never gets to market. The whole phenomenon of celebrity children's literature is an incredible example of the role of the marketing values that are deep inside the children's literature industry. So, I guess I want to switch gears a little bit, and since we only have a few minutes left, because I don't want to take too long with this final optional class. After all, you guys are giving up your valuable time. We're not even having a class technically. But I want to ask you this question about your perceptions of the Ignite as something that happens before the final project is due. Because truthfully, we could have made the Ignite due after the final paper is due, right? Or maybe they could have come together and they'd both be due on the same day. What do you think? So I have this hypothesis, and the reason why I sequenced it that way is that I always find for myself as a writer that that it takes me a good long time to figure out what I want to say. Right? And that's hard work, and once I do that, then everything else is easy. And I wondered if doing an Ignite, because it does kind of force you into that structure, that rigid structure, that might be helpful as a pre-writing tool, and it might make the next project, the paper part of it, it might make it easier. So next time when I teach this class, should I have the Ignite precede the final paper, be at the same time, or should I reverse it? Write the paper first and then do the Ignite. What's your thinking on this?
Can you hear me? Okay. So I definitely like the Ignite being before our final project. At first, I was like, why are we doing the Ignite presentation before our actual projects? They aren't complete yet. So how are we going to present that? But I actually really liked the Ignite being beforehand because I was able to structure what I did want to say and just think about my entire project and put it into perspective. And I think that's really going to help when I create or finish creating the documentary that I have been creating.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. So in a way, it gives a little bit of shape to the larger project that you're working on to move that toward getting finished. Other thoughts on that, Linda, Jenny? Pros and cons to having the Ignite come before the final paper is due.
I like it first. Jenny, go ahead. Okay. I like it first because I'm pulling out facts and information, and you can just put it on a quick slide. And it kind of brings everything together, like you said, your thoughts. This way I can take what I've produced and then apply it in writing. Either way, before or after, you're still pulling out the information, whether you write it, do a narrative report, or whether you just put it in a slide formation. You're still grabbing your important facts, and then, I don't know. To me, I like it before, so I can just take what I need, get them on the slide, emphasize what I want to say, and then put it in narration and elaborate it more.
Mm-hmm. You know, Linda, you're reminding of a couple years ago, I did a high school observation of a high school English teacher who was teaching kids about basically essay writing by having them outline their essay as a PowerPoint.
Oh.
And it was absolutely fascinating to see how the kids really took to that, and they also like moved the slides around. I mean, basically she was able to teach them a lot about like structure and how you build an argument and where the thesis statement should go.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. About it because it was almost like the ease of the moving the widgets around with PowerPoint and like a slide sorter kind of thing made it easy for kids to like organize their thinking. And
right.
Your point kind of reminds me of it. You're right. You can do it in any order, but it is interesting about there's some certain ease of like you said, throwing it up on a slide and then playing with it a little bit.
Right.
Jenny, what's your perspective on this topic? Before, after, or what?
I think I definitely agree with Stephanie that doing it before was very helpful. I also was a little concerned of doing it before the final project. But one thing that I really liked about the Ignite was the fact of trying to find visuals to go with what I was trying to say. So it really kind of made me think more about what I was trying to say, because I was trying to present it in such a way that someone had a visual while I was talking. And that really kind of made me think of my paper in a new way. And I also found out that I have way too much to say, more than 15 seconds. So
me too.
So my husband said I should take a course in speed talking, but it was very interesting to pare down my slides. Even though I probably talked a little faster still, to kind of narrow it down to what I felt was so important for people to see for only 5 minutes.
I am absolutely intrigued about your point about how the image search and the image strategy around developing an argument can help you. For me, many of my writing projects begin with a talk and then turn into a writing project. And I feel like the search for images often helps me figure out the entry place, like how do I start the story? That's always, beginnings are always so hard, right? Sometimes images can really inspire your thinking about where to begin. And I also think images really help me with like metaphors and generalization, right? In a way, ironically, because they're so concrete, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of because it has to be a concrete image, it actually makes you think about what's the abstract idea I'm trying to represent here, right? So I'm intrigued about that idea as a way to inspire people's thinking about information and ideas, that images can inspire our thinking about information as much as other media forms. That's really, really intriguing to me. I'm really grateful for the feedback that you've offered about the Ignite presentations. One of the things I'm curious about is whether and how the Ignites will cross-fertilize as you now move into your final phase. Because it's maybe not the case that every single one of these, there's like 20 of them, right? It might not be the case that every single one of these 20 are going to be relevant to your project.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that 1 or 2 of them you're going to want to look at before you put the finishing touches on your own paper, because there may be stuff that, I mean, we've all been swimming in the same stew this semester. We've all been kind of marinating in a lot of the same ideas. pretty likely that at least one or two members of this class are stumbling around exploring ideas that are going to have utility and value to you. So here's a secret. Only the folks who are watching live and or watching the recording know. I'm going to give extra credit for students who make reference to other students' work in any form, whether that's a blog post, an Ignite, or any other form. Why? Because, if you can see from the assignment, this is all about synthesis and making connections. That's how new ideas happen. And why should it be that you are just synthesizing and summarizing from the, experts? You guys have demonstrated more than plentifully your own emerging expertise in this area. So, all right. So now when I let you go, do you have any questions before I remind you that your final paper or creative project is due a week from today? I hope that you will click on the idea form and use the idea form to give me some feedback about what this class has meant to you and what you liked about it, what I could do better. Do you have any questions before we sign off?
I have two. Okay. You just said a week from today, but on your syllabus it says the 5th, which is Monday.
It's the syllabus date. Linda, thank you very much for that.
Okay.
This is always right. What's that? Say that again so we have the real date.
On the syllabus is May 5th by 7 p.m.
And what day is May 5th?
Monday.
Okay. That is the due date. Thank you. What's your other question?
My other question, I'm a little nervous because the Ignite presentation I went over not 5 minutes, not 6 minutes, not 7, like I did 10 minutes. Like Jenny said, I just did a lot of talking. I just wanted to get everything out, and now I feel like I'm going to be penalized for that. So.
Yes, you are. You're going to be penalized for going.
Yes.
So you can now. One of the cool. Well, I mean, you're an adult learner. You have to decide how important that it is. My sense of it is I tend not to be rigid about bureaucratic stuff like that. So probably the ding isn't going to kill you.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Maybe I can sleep tonight.
Watch your piece. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay.
It's appointment viewing.
Yeah. So you might want to sit down and grab a coffee when you see my night.
I will look forward to it. Even if it's 10 minutes, I'll still love it. All right. Thank you.
I'm excited, Linda. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions before I let you go?
No.
I have had an absolute blast. I feel very sad that this is the last thing. I sure hope you guys are going to take 531, but if not, who's graduating in May? Anybody?
No.
All right, so that means I'll still have an opportunity to see you in the flesh sometime this summer. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolute fantastic class. I treasure you. LSC students are the best. And I'm so delighted to be part of the Harrington School and part of the Graduate School of Library and Information Studies. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you all who have actually watched offline. And have a wonderful summer.
Bye. Thank you.
Stay tuned to our class website. I will be sharing all the cool stuff that you guys are putting together so you can show your friends. See ya.
Okay. Bye.